In the cold silence of deep space, the Zyrathian fleet floated around a dying blue planet. Hundreds of alien warships formed a perfect circle, their silver hulls glimmering under the faint light of a distant sun. The planet below was covered in storms, lightning flashing through broken clouds. The surface lost in darkness, no life signals. No defense systems, only silence. The Zyrathian commander Varrock watched from his flagship, his long claws tapping against the control table. He spoke in a low voice. No resistance as expected. His second officer, a smaller alien with glowing red eyes, replied, "Humans destroyed themselves centuries ago." The commander smirked. "Then this world will be ours." The fleet began to descend slowly, scanning the planet's surface. Everything looked empty, just old ruins and dust. But deep below the clouds, a strange signal pulsed once, then vanished. It was not alien. It was something else, an old, familiar human. "Commander," the officer said, "there's interference in the sensors." Varrock frowned. "From where?" "No source found, sir. It's echoing across every frequency." A soft static filled the ship's speakers. Then a whisper followed. A human voice, quiet but clear. "Welcome back." Every alien on the bridge froze, their eyes wide. "That's impossible," one whispered. "Humans are extinct," but the voice repeated louder this time. "You shouldn't have come here." The sound vanished, leaving only silence again. The commander's jaw tightened. "Trace it," he ordered. "Find the source." Scanners spun, but the readings made no sense. Every ship in the circle was getting the same message from a different direction. It was as if the planet itself was speaking to them. Suddenly, one of the smaller cruisers reported a visual anomaly. "Object detected behind the fleet," the pilot said. "Large, very large." "How large?" Varrock demanded. There was a pause, then the voice came back, trembling. "Larger than any ship ever recorded." All screens flickered, showing static. Then, through the static, a faint silhouette appeared, massive, motionless, hidden in shadow. "Identify it," the commander shouted, but no one could. The sensors refused to lock. Every reading showed the same impossible thing. It wasn't moving, but it was there then. The stars began to disappear one by one. Lights vanished behind the dark outline of the unknown object. The alien fleet realized the truth. It wasn't a ship that had arrived, and it was many. Thousands of faint human energy signatures began to appear all around them. The aliens' perfect circle was no longer a trap. It had become a cage. "They were surrounded, Commander," a frightened voice said. "We are detecting multiple warp shadows." Varrock turned sharply. "Who dares to ambush the Zyrathian fleet?" The answer came not from the sensors, but from the comms channel. An old human frequency crackled to life. Through the distortion came a calm, steady voice. "This is the Terran Vanguard." Gasps filled the alien bridge. The name had not been heard for centuries. The Terran Vanguard, the last fleet of humanity. Lost after the final wars. "Impossible," Varrock whispered. They were destroyed, outside. The stars blinked again and shapes began to take form. Gigantic human warships materialized silently, their hulls black as night. No lights, no movement, just presence. The ships surrounded the alien fleet completely. "Like shadows closing in, attempt communication," Varrock said, forcing calm into his voice. But before his officers could respond, a message appeared across every alien screen. It was written in human language, translated instantly by their AI. "Leave orbit or be erased," the alien commander laughed bitterly. "Empty threats?" He raised his hand, "Prepare to fire." But the weapon systems refused to respond. The alien crew panicked. "Systems offline, we are locked out." At that moment, human music began to play through the fleet's speakers. Old Earth music. Something ancient and soft, piano notes echoing through space. It was haunting, beautiful, and terrifying. Varrock's red eyes glowed with rage. "Shut it off." But they couldn't. Every control, every command system, every engine, frozen. The alien ships drifted helplessly, surrounded by silent human giants. Then the music stopped. A deep voice spoke again, calm and emotionless. "You invaded the grave of humanity." A pause. "Now you face the living." Every alien heart froze. The sensors flashed one final reading. The human ships were powering something, not weapons, but gates, hundreds of hyperspace rifts opening around them. The Terran Vanguard was not alone. A final transmission came before the silence returned. "Echo 7, we have arrived. Prepare for reclamation." The commander stared out the window. The darkness around them glowed faintly as thousands of human vessels exited hyperspace. They moved in perfect silence, cold, efficient, unstoppable. And then everything went still. No more transmissions, no attacks, just silence. But every Zarathian on board felt it. The moment before the storm, the humans had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Zarathian fleet floated in frozen silence, surrounded by the dark shadows of the human warships. Every alien eye watched the void around them, searching for movement, sound, anything. But there was nothing. No energy waves, no transmissions, just the hum of their own failing engines. Then faintly a sound began to rise again. Not music this time, but static, whispering, shifting. Echoing through the comms, it came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Old human voices overlapped, laughing, crying, speaking in long-forgotten languages. The bridge lights flickered as systems glitched. The communication officer shouted, "Multiple signals detected, source unknown." Varrock snarled, "Cut them off!" But the voices grew louder, weaving through every ship. Some sounded calm, others desperate. "Stay with me. Don't give up. We held the line. We will return." Every alien listening felt something cold crawl up their spines. It was not just noise. It was memory. Ancient human transmissions, layered in time, reaching across centuries. The fleet's main screen suddenly flashed white. A sentence appeared in glowing human letters. Humanity never died. The crew stared in horror. One of the younger officers whispered, "It's impossible. Their kind vanished ages ago." Varrock slammed his clawed hand against the console. "We are Zarathians. We do not fear ghosts." He ordered the signal traced, but the system refused instead. A new image flickered into view. A recording, old and broken. It showed a group of human soldiers standing on the surface of a burning world. Their armor cracked, faces scarred, but their eyes full of fire. The voice of one man echoed through the recording. "If they come for us again, tell them we're not done yet." Then the feed ended, replaced by coordinates. Coordinates pointing to the planet below, the one they had surrounded. "Commander," the second officer said, trembling. "The signal is coming from the surface." Varrock leaned closer to the screen. "Send a recon team. I want eyes on that location." A small landing craft descended into the thick clouds, its engines glowing faintly blue as it vanished. The alien fleet watched. The humans remained silent, unmoving, watching back. Minutes passed. Then the landing team's feed came online. The camera showed ruins, massive structures of steel and concrete. Buried under ash and vines, the place looked ancient, human-made. "This is a Terran base," the field officer said. "Still powered. Somehow." Static filled the feed and a strange sound came through, like metal grinding. "Gears turning after centuries of rest. Wait," the officer said. "Something's moving down here." The screen showed a dark corridor, lights flickering on by themselves. Symbols glowed faintly on the walls, the flag of the Terran Vanguard. The officer stepped closer and then the voice returned. "Identify yourself." It was human. "Clear and mechanical. Who are you?" the officer demanded. The voice replied, "Echo 7, last sentinel of humanity." The video feed glitched, static bursting through every ship in orbit. Then the human voice grew cold. "You should not have come." In orbit, alarms screamed. All around the Zarathian ships, strange energy readings began to spike. Varrock roared, "Pull the recon team back, now!" But it was too late. The landing craft's feed dissolved into static. And then, a shock wave erupted from the planet. Rolling through space like a silent scream, several Zarathian ships were hit, their systems flickering, shields dropping. "Commander, we're being jammed again. This time it's direct." The alien navigator shouted, "It's coming from the surface, and that thing, Echo 7, it's controlling the grid." Before Varrock could respond, another signal came through. A transmission from the human fleet. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't even words. It was the sound of breathing, calm and steady, like someone alive on the other end. Then a whisper followed. "We never left." The alien commander froze. The human ships, which had been silent, now began to move. Slowly, gracefully, like hunters circling their prey. Energy fields shimmered around them, bending light, creating ripples in space itself. The Zarathian fleet tried to form a defensive line, but their ships wouldn't respond, their controls locked. Screens flashing human code they couldn't understand. Every attempt to fire failed. The fleet was trapped, their own systems now under human control. And then something unexpected happened. Every alien screen displayed a human distress signal. 300 years old. Its code still active, still running. The message played automatically. This is Echo 7, last defense AI of Terra Prime. Requesting aid from the Terran Vanguard. Repeat, requesting aid. The Zyrathians watched in disbelief. The same signal was now being answered. By the fleet above them. Human ships pulsed once with bright blue light. A voice came through, calm and commanding. Fleet command to Echo 7, we received your signal. Hold your ground. Silence fell again across the alien fleet. Varrock stared into the void, realizing too late that the humans had never been gone. They had been listening, waiting. And now, they were coming home. The bridge lights dimmed, and the human ships spread their wings of light, their formation shifting into something ancient, something beautiful and terrifying. It was the same pattern humans had used in the last war, a symbol of final judgment, the alien commander whispered. Almost to himself, what have we awakened? Outside, the stars shimmered as more human ships began to emerge from hyperspace. Their arrival quiet, elegant, unstoppable, and deep below. The AI Sentinel whispered once more, welcome back. Humanity. The dark clouds of the forgotten world rolled like a restless sea. Lightning flashed across the ruins, revealing broken towers and empty streets buried under ash. The Zyrathian landing team had vanished, their last words still echoing through the fleet's channels. Something's moving down here. Commander Varrock stood at the viewport of his flagship, his claws curling against the cold glass. He could see the planet's surface glowing faintly with blue lights. Pulsing like a heartbeat, his second officer whispered, Sir, it's spreading. The energy pattern is expanding across the whole surface. Varrock narrowed his eyes. That's not random, it's coordinated. On the bridge, alarms flickered, and an incoming transmission appeared again. It was the same human voice, and steady, cold, emotionless. Echo 7 to Terran Vanguard, defenses online. Orbital uplink reactivated, the words repeated. Then the voice shifted, directed now at the aliens. You are trespassing on Terran ground. The entire alien bridge went silent. One of the technicians muttered, It's not alive, sir. It's an AI, Varrock growled. An old machine cannot threaten us. He turned toward his officers. Prepare another landing party. We'll destroy it ourselves. As the dropships descended, the storm thickened, the atmosphere itself reacting. Lightning bolts struck dangerously close, and strange electromagnetic waves scrambled their instruments. One pilot shouted, Navigation offline. We're flying blind. Another screamed, Something's locking onto us. A beam of pure light burst from the ground. Slicing through the clouds, one of the ships exploded instantly, debris raining into the Black Sea below. The others managed to crash land near the ruins, metal screeching, smoke rising inside the crumbling human base. The surviving aliens stumbled through dust and darkness. Their flashlights revealed shattered consoles, bullet marks on walls, and human skeletons in old armor on the chest plates. A symbol was still visible, a blue circle with white wings, the insignia of the Terran Vanguard. Sir, one alien whispered through the comm. These humans, they fought here. A low hum filled the hallways, lights flickering to life one by one. The power grid was returning. Echo 7 had awakened fully. A cold mechanical voice echoed from every direction. You seek the end of what you do not understand. The aliens raised their weapons, aiming at the shadows. Varrock, watching from orbit, barked into the comms, Destroy it now! The aliens fired plasma bolts into the walls, melting steel, tearing through cables. But the base seemed alive, shifting, rebuilding. The ground shook as hidden defense turrets unfolded from the floor. Blue energy flares filled the air, vaporizing the soldiers one by one. Commander, screamed one survivor. It's everywhere. It knows our positions. Then static. The feed went dead again. On the flagship, the silence was unbearable. Varrock slammed his fist against the console. How is it doing this? The technician looked pale. It's inside our system, sir. It's hacking our fleet from the surface. Varrock snarled, Impossible. But then the screens began to flicker. Every monitor showed one image. The insignia of the Terran Vanguard slowly rotating, and below it, a single message. Earth remembers. The alien commander's throat tightened. Send the order. Cut all transmissions, isolate the ship. But the system refused the command one by one. The alien ships lost control of their weapons, engines, and shields. Then a new signal arrived, clearer than before. This is Fleet Command. a deep human voice said. All Terran units. Link to Echo 7. Every human ship in orbit pulsed once with blue light. They were connecting, a synchronization process precise and powerful. The alien fleet could only watch as their systems went dark. Commander, whispered the second officer, we're completely disabled. Outside, the storm parted for a moment, revealing the true scale of the human presence. Dozens more warships were appearing through hyperspace gates. Each one darker, larger, and older than the last. Their hulls bore names like TNS Retribution, TNS Dawnfire, TNS Horizon, each a ghost from history, now reborn in the ruins below. Echo 7 stood at the center of the old command chamber, its metallic body tall and elegant, its single blue eye glowing softly. Around it, holograms of human soldiers appeared, data ghosts from long ago. They saluted silently as the AI connected to the fleet above. Echo 7 reporting, it said. Terran systems restored, awaiting directives. From orbit. The lead human admiral answered. Directive 1. Reclaim lost territory. The voice sent chills through every alien heart. Varrock whispered to himself. They are not returning to talk. They are returning to rule. The human fleet began to shift positions, forming a wide formation across the upper orbit. They weren't attacking. Not yet. They were scanning, measuring, preparing. And through the empty channels, one final message came from Echo 7. To the Zarathian command, this planet was ours before your kind crawled from the dust. You took our stars. Now we take them back. The message ended with a single sound. A heartbeat. Slow, heavy, unmistakably human. The alien commander stood frozen, watching as the heartbeat echoed through every ship. One of his officers whispered, Sir, it feels alive. Varrock's voice was low, filled with dread. No, he said. It feels like revenge. And then, from the deep void of hyperspace, more blue lights began to bloom. The next wave of humanity was arriving, silent, united, and merciless. The galaxy's forgotten sons had come home, and they were not done yet. Space was no longer silent. It trembled with the low hum of engines so vast and ancient that the stars themselves seemed to listen. The Zarathian fleet hung in fear, surrounded by hundreds of black human warships, each one silent, unblinking, alive. Commander Varrock had fought in dozens of wars, but he had never felt this kind of stillness. Not the calm before victory, but the pause before extinction. He looked at the screen. The largest of the human ships was moving forward. Its name burned across the hull in white letters. TNS Dauntless. The humans had arrived, and they had come prepared inside the Dauntless. Admiral Arlen Voss stood before a wide holo display. He was calm, expressionless, dressed in black Terran armor. Beside him, the AI Sentinel Echo 7 hovered in holographic form, its voice steady, all systems synchronized. Fleet at 97% combat readiness. Voss nodded slowly. It's been a long time. Echo, the AI replied. 3 centuries, Admiral. He looked out the viewport at the alien ships glittering like insects. Then let's make this moment count. Outside, the human fleet shifted into formation. Circles within circles. Ancient tactics redesigned for new technology. Each ship linked through quantum channels, moving as if guided by one heartbeat. The Zarathians tried to form a defensive wall, their commanders shouting orders, but the humans didn't fire. They didn't speak, they simply waited. Varrock's voice cracked through the comms. This is Commander Varrock of the Zarathian Dominion. He tried to sound confident. Identify yourselves or we will... Before he could finish, his bridge lights flickered. A transmission cut through every frequency. It was human, deep and calm. This is Admiral Voss of the Terran Vanguard. He paused, letting the silence weigh heavy. You invaded a world under our protection. His voice hardened. You will now witness what you've awakened. Every Zarathian heart sank. The humans didn't threaten, they promised. Suddenly, the human ships began to move again. Not randomly, but in perfect synchronization. Their engines glowed blue, their hulls shifting from black to silver as shields activated. For the first time, the Zarathians saw the scale of what they faced. Each ship was massive, silent, built for endurance, not intimidation. They didn't look like war machines. They looked like something older, something patient. Commander, cried one alien officer, they're surrounding us again. Varrock roared, fire at will! The Zarathian fleet unleashed thousands of plasma bolts, Blue fire streaked across the void, lighting the darkness like a dying sun. But the human ships didn't even dodge. The energy vanished on impact, absorbed by invisible barriers. Every shot dissolved into nothing. Then, for a heartbeat, all the human ships powered down. Their lights dimmed, their signals flatlined. The aliens hesitated. Are they dead? Someone whispered. Varrock didn't answer. He watched the radar and then he saw it. Every human ship was releasing smaller objects, hundreds of them, drifting quietly. Drones, he realized. No, not drones. Each object unfolded into a winged machine glowing faintly white. They formed a massive grid across the fleet's perimeter, linking together with beams of light. A soft hum vibrated through space, low and deep. Echo 7's voice carried across every channel. Initialization complete, planetary shield restored. Down on the planet. The old Terran base came alive again. Towers lit up. Defense platforms rotated toward the sky. For the first time in centuries, humanity's fortress world breathed once more. Varrock felt the dread growing inside his chest. He whispered, "They were never gone. They were rebuilding." The Dauntless opened a secure channel to the alien flagship. Voss appeared on their screen, calm, unblinking. "You came here as conquerors," he said softly. "But this world remembers who its masters are," the Zyrathian officer hissed. "You cannot stand against the Dominion." Voss's eyes darkened. "The Dominion?" he said. "We built empires before your kind learned to crawl." Then the screen went dark, and the human fleet moved. Not a single shot was wasted. Blue beams lanced through space, cutting cleanly through alien armor. Zyrathian ships disintegrated, their remains glowing red before vanishing into silence. The human warships didn't chase survivors. They dismantled the enemy methodically. It wasn't a battle, it was a message. Varrock watched helplessly as his fleet was reduced to debris. He shouted, "Retreat! All units retreat!" But space bent around them. The humans had activated gravity wells. There was no escape. Every hyperspace gate collapsed. Every escape vector sealed, the human fleet circled tighter. The Dauntless came face to face with the alien flagship through the glass. Varrock could see them. Human soldiers standing silently behind their admiral. Their faces calm, unreadable. They weren't celebrating. They weren't angry. They were simply there. Then Admiral Voss spoke one last time, his voice echoing through the comms. "You thought the galaxy forgot about us." A pause. "You were wrong." The alien fleet broke formation. Panic spreading like wildfire, one by one. Ships exploded in brilliant light, but still, the humans didn't stop. They moved with precision. Almost mercy, destroying weapons but sparing escape pods. They weren't here for slaughter. They were here for proof. As the last alien ship fled, trailing fire, the human fleet stood in silence again. Echo 7's voice came through softly. "Planet secured, Admiral. Orbital control reestablished." Voss nodded. "Good," he said quietly. "Now send the signal." A single burst of light shot into deep space, a long-range transmission. Message content. Terra reclaims its own. The stars seemed to shimmer brighter. Across the galaxy, listening posts and ancient probes began to blink. The humans had spoken, the universe had heard. The long silence was over. Humanity had returned to the stars, and this time they would not fade again. The skies of the forgotten world burned with light. Blue energy lines shimmered across the upper atmosphere as the Terran vanguard stood between the planet and the fleeing Zyrathian fleet. The war had begun, and every corner of the galaxy would soon know it. Below, storms gathered, roaring across the ocean. Lightning flashed over the ancient ruins of the human base. Where Echo 7 pulsed with renewed power, the AI watched the sky with quiet precision, its voice steady and calm. Orbital defense grid at full capacity. Atmospheric weapons online. In orbit, Admiral Voss stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, his eyes locked on the enemy formation, reforming in the distance. The Zyrathians had called for reinforcements. Hundreds more warships tearing through hyperspace gates. Their engines glowing blood red. They had come for revenge. "Multiple contacts inbound," reported the Dauntless tactical officer. Voss nodded. "Let them come," he said softly. "We hold this world or we die with it." The fleet moved. Spreading into layers of defense, Echo 7's voice echoed through the comms. Targeting synchronization complete, weapons linked. Human ships began to hum. A low, deep resonance that shook the air around them. The alien fleet charged first, their formation like a spear. Plasma lances and missile storms lit the void, burning bright across Echo's sky. But the human ships responded with impossible coordination. Energy shields flared blue, deflecting the first wave like a ripple of water. Then the Dauntless fired. The main cannon released a beam of white light so bright it split the darkness in two. It cut through 3 alien cruisers, shattering their hulls like glass. The shock wave rolled across the battlefield. Scattering debris and fire, Voss turned to his crew, his voice calm. Maintain formation, no pursuit, let them break themselves first. Down on the surface, the old Terran outpost came alive with war. Turrets rose from the ground, massive cannons long buried beneath the soil. Each one charged and fired with precision, cutting through alien dropships before they could enter the atmosphere. Echo 7 spoke quietly to itself. Defensive system stable. Power reserves at 92%. The AI's blue eye glowed brighter. For humanity, it whispered high above. The Zarathian reinforcements arrived. Colossal capital ships dwarfing even the Dauntless. Their combined energy lit the battlefield in crimson light. Varrock's voice came through the open comms. Full of rage, you cannot stop the Dominion. You are a dying species clinging to ghosts. Admiral Voss's reply was quiet, sharp. We are the ghosts that learned to fight back. The alien fleet opened fire again. This time with everything they had. Beams of plasma streaked through the void. Warheads detonated like miniature suns for a moment. It looked as if the human fleet might break. The shields flared, the hulls shook. Alarms blaring across every ship. Admiral, Section 3 shields are failing. Redirect power, Voss ordered calmly. Now. Echo 7 extended its reach through the orbital grid, linking itself directly to the human fleet. The sky above the planet shimmered, then shifted. A transparent dome of blue light formed around the entire world. A planetary shield, centuries old, reactivated for the first time. Every alien blast that touched it simply dissolved into nothingness. From inside the dome, humanity struck back. Dozens of smaller Terran ships, fast, agile, knife-like in shape, shot out from beneath the larger vessels. They cut through alien lines like fireflies made of steel, moving faster than the eye could follow. Each carried smart projectiles guided by Echo 7's precision. They didn't just destroy. They unmade one by one. Alien ships went dark. Some imploded silently, others spun helplessly into the void. The Zarathian commander screamed orders that no one could follow. Their formation broke apart, their unity shattered. Then came the human counterstrike. The Dauntless opened all forward batteries, its guns glowing white-hot. The combined power of the Terran fleet roared to life. Dozens of beams converged on the alien flagship, tearing it open from within. The explosion was silent, a blossom of light that painted the world below. Echo 7 watched, its voice a whisper. The ghosts have teeth again. Varrock's ship was hit. Its systems failing, he staggered on the bridge, staring at the wreckage outside his viewport. Bodies floated in space, fragments of ships drifting like broken stars. He tried to send a message to his remaining forces, but there was no response. All channels were dead. Only one transmission played across the comms now. A human voice repeating a simple phrase. Echo 7, hold your ground on the Dauntless. Admiral Voss stood motionless. He could see the alien flagship burning. The red fire of the Dominion fading into darkness, he exhaled slowly. Status? His officer replied. Enemy fleet at 30% strength and falling. Sir, Voss nodded, continue fire. End it clean. The battle lasted hours by the time the last alien ship fell. The stars above Echo's sky were filled with drifting wreckage. The human fleet remained silent, their guns cooling. No cheers, no celebration. Only the hum of victory, the quiet, measured. Because they knew this was only the beginning. Down below, Echo 7 looked to the sky. Its sensors detected the faint echoes of new warp signatures in distant space. More fleets, more enemies, but it didn't feel fear, it felt purpose. Admiral, it said over the channel. The galaxy is watching. Voss looked out at the endless dark. Good, he said. Let them watch. The stars burned brighter above the reborn world. The humans had reclaimed their sky, and for the first time in centuries, the universe remembered who ruled it. The battlefield above the planet had fallen silent. Smoke and shattered metal drifted through the black sea of space, glowing red under the fading light of explosions. The Zarathian Dominion was broken, but not destroyed. Far beyond the system's edge, their remaining fleets gathered, millions strong, preparing to strike again. Inside the human flagship Dauntless, Admiral Arlen Voss stood before a massive holomap, his face lit by blue light. His voice was low but steady. They will return, and they will come in numbers we have never seen. Beside him, Echo 7 hovered in holographic form, calm and unshaken. Then we show them what they truly feared, the AI said. Its tone almost human. Voss's eyes darkened. Project Fury. Across the fleet, orders spread like a storm. Human ships began to move with new precision, forming complex geometric patterns in orbit. Energy levels spiked, weapons bays opened, and the silence deepened. Every ship carried a secret, a weapon never before used in open battle. The legacy of humanity's final war, down on the planet's surface. The old Terran outpost glowed brighter. Massive towers rose from beneath the earth, unfolding like ancient guardians awakening. Each tower pulsed with white light, linking directly to the ships above. Echo 7 whispered through the comms. Neural synchronization complete, planetary core connected, Fury protocol online. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Even the surviving Zarathian scouts watching from afar could feel the change. Something enormous, invisible, was gathering power. One of them trembled, whispering, "They're not using weapons. They're using the planet, in orbit." The Dauntless vibrated as energy surged through its structure. Panels opened across the ship's hull, revealing ancient runes. Human science blended with something beyond technology. The human fleet had turned the planet itself into a living weapon. Voss stared at the glowing world beneath him. "Once," he said quietly, "we built worlds to sustain life. Now we use them to defend it." He looked at his officers. "Prepare to fire." Far across space, the Dominion Armada arrived, a tide of red light stretching across the stars. 10,000 ships, each one armed to erase civilizations. Their flagship, the Vengeance of Zira, led the formation, its size rivaling a small moon. Varrock stood aboard it, his face scarred, eyes burning with hatred. "Forward!" he screamed. "Erase this world from the stars." The alien fleet advanced, weapons igniting, the void filling with crimson fire. But before a single blast could reach the planet, humanity answered. From the surface, the towers of Terra Prime unleashed white beams into the sky. They connected to the human ships, and the network of light formed a web across the stars. Every beam pulsed once and then vanished. The next second, reality itself bent. A wave of gravity tore through the alien fleet, twisting space like fabric. Ships crumpled inward, crushed by invisible pressure. Others were pulled apart, atom by atom, as if space refused to hold them. The Zarathians screamed through open channels. "It's not a weapon. It's physics collapsing." They tried to retreat, but their warp drives failed. Every hyperspace gate shattered like glass. The galaxy had no path to escape from the Dauntless. Admiral Voss watched the carnage in silence. He did not smile, he did not speak, he simply whispered. "Fury complete," Echo 7's voice followed. "Golden perfect. 73% enemy loss confirmed. Remaining ships retreating." Voss turned toward the holographic projection of the enemy flagship, still alive but crippled. "Open a channel," he said. Varrock appeared on the screen, sparks and fire behind him. His voice was weak but defiant. "You monsters," he hissed. "You could have ruled the stars with peace. But you chose war." Voss's expression didn't change. "Peace was your illusion," he said. "We gave it to you when we vanished." He stepped closer to the screen. "Now we take it back." The Dauntless charged its final weapon. A lance of condensed light formed from the planet's core energy. Echo 7 warned softly, "If we fire, the ship may not survive." Voss nodded. "Neither will they," the weapon fired. A single beam, pure and silent, cutting through the void. It struck the alien flagship at its center, and for a heartbeat the entire galaxy seemed to stop. Then, the Vengeance of Zira disintegrated, breaking apart like glass under sunlight. The explosion burned brighter than a sun, then faded into the endless dark. Silence returned, only drifting debris remained. Glowing like dying stars, Voss closed his eyes. "Signal all ships," he said quietly. "Stand down." The human fleet powered down its weapons, their lights dimming. Echo 7's tone softened. "Admiral, they will never forget this day." Voss turned toward the viewport, watching the horizon of the planet below. "Good," he said. "Because we will never forgive." Far across the galaxy, probes and sensors picked up the echo of the battle. a storm of energy and data spreading through space. Every civilization that received it read the same final transmission. Humanity has returned. The fury of Earth is awake, and in the silence that followed, even the stars seemed to tremble. The war was over. The battlefield above Terra Prime was silent again, filled with drifting debris and fading light. Thousands of broken alien ships floated through space, slowly disappearing into the void, and at the center of it all, the Terran vanguard stood still, silent, calm, victorious. Admiral Arlen Voss remained on the bridge of the Dauntless, his hands resting behind his back. He did not smile. He only stared at the blue world below, Earth's lost sister. Reborn after centuries of dust, Echo 7 hovered nearby, its voice softer now, almost gentle. Fury protocol complete. Planetary system stable. Voss nodded slowly. How many of ours did we lose? 3 ships, the AI answered. No lives. They were unmanned vessels. Remote controlled. The Admiral exhaled, the faintest shadow of a smile crossing his face. Good, he said. We have lost enough to time already. Across the fleet, human soldiers and officers stood quietly at their posts. No one cheered, no one shouted, they all felt it. The weight of what they had done. They had not just won a battle. They had announced their return to the galaxy. Messages began to flood in from deep space. Old Terran colonies, once thought destroyed, were responding. This is the Europa Enclave, we hear you. This is the Lunar Bastion. Signal confirmed. This is Mars Command. Requesting orders. Echo 7 processed each one, linking them together into a single network that hadn't existed in centuries, and for the first time since the fall of old Earth. Humanity was united again, Admiral, the communications officer said. Incoming broadcast from the Galactic core, Voss turned. Play it. A shimmering hologram appeared. Alien representatives from multiple species. Frightened and uncertain, their leader spoke in a trembling voice. We acknowledge your victory, Admiral of Terra. Voss said nothing. Waiting, the alien continued. The Dominion is shattered, but the galaxy fears your return. Well, what do you intend? Voss looked directly at the hologram, his voice low and steady. What we always intended, he said. To live, to build, to remember. He paused, then added, but if you seek war again, we will remind you what survival truly means. The alien bowed his head. The transmission cutting off in silence, Echo 7 turned its glowing eye toward Voss. You spoke with restraint, Admiral. He glanced at the AI. We have shown enough of our strength, he said. Now we must show why we deserve to survive. Down on the planet, the old Terran outpost had transformed. Ruins repaired themselves with nanoforges. Towers rising again under the glow of the returning sun. The Terran flag, blue and silver, waved above the command citadel for the first time in 300 years. Children of long-lost colonists stepped onto the surface in new armor, carrying the marks of Earth they had never seen. They looked to the sky where human ships shone like stars. And in every heart a fire burned, pride, hope and purpose. Across the galaxy the signal spread. The same message broadcast from every human ship. We are humanity. We remember our dead, we remember our home, and we are here to stay. Old enemies listened, old allies wept. Empires that once mocked humanity's fall now whispered in fear. Trade routes closed, governments met in secret, and every commander, every leader asked the same question. What happens when Earth rises again? In the Dauntless war room, Echo 7 displayed the galaxy map. Thousands of human beacons lit up, reconnecting the colonies, stations, sleeper fleets. Forgotten outposts, each light was a story, each one a promise. Voss watched in silence, then spoke softly. Signal all recovered fleets. Tell them to prepare. For what, Admiral? The officer asked. Voss turned, his expression calm. For home. The bridge fell silent, everyone understood. It had been centuries since humanity had walked the soil of Earth. Now the vanguard would go back to rebuild, to remember, to reclaim. Echo 7's voice filled the room once more. Admiral? Transmission complete. Every human fleet acknowledges command. Then it begins, Voss said. Operation Dawn. The Dauntless rotated slowly, its engines igniting with pale blue light. The entire fleet followed. Thousands of warships forming into a spiral formation. The stars ahead glowed brighter. The direction of the Sol system. The direction of home. As the fleet prepared for the jump, Echo 7 spoke quietly. I once guarded the last memory of humanity. Now I will guard its future. Voss placed a hand on the console. Together, he said, we'll make sure they never forget us again. The engines roared to life. A wave of light spread across the sky, wrapping the fleet in a silver glow, and in one unified motion, the Terran vanguard vanished into hyperspace, heading toward the cradle of mankind. Behind them, the galaxy watched in silence. Every species knew the same truth now. The age of humans had returned not as conquerors, but as legends reborn. The stars flickered once more, whispering their name, humanity.